Well, number 18 falls on the Alpha stream. Redbirds COD take down the Akron Zips. What a barn burner that was. A game 5 barn. Oh, I'm still shivering from that. I've come all giddy and such, but UC Irvine, University of New Mexico. This is for LCQ placement in terms of where they will find themselves in seeding come the LCQ, but coming out of Tier 1, they're going to have themselves in the best case scenario. When it comes to the LCQ seeding, they're going to be playing those bottom teams that are coming from the depths of Tier 3 and the upwards portion of Tier 4. So should be a relatively easy line for them. They should only have to win like maybe one game against a relatively weak opponent to make the playoffs, so that will be a W for them. So both of these teams again should handily make their way into the playoffs. Cash, the biggest problem though between UC Irvine and New Mexico is of course the fact that both of them have had eyesore, and that's putting it nicely, struggles here inside of Tier 1. They have, albeit it's a very stacked Tier 1 in the West Division, you know, they have not found any success except for UC Irvine, who's won one series.
Yeah, and I believe that was even to forfeit, so I don't think either have found an actual match win here. But as we have a look at the head-to-head, these teams have some, you know, differences, of course. I'm looking at New Mexico being slightly better at the respawn, search and destroy, a little more even in that regard, 10-6 and 10-9 respectively. Overall 10-8 sit both squads. So for me in New Mexico, it's got to be the respawns where they take control. If you're UC Irvine, you've got to find a way to get one of those early, and then of course look to the search and destroy. You've got to be able to take those. So I'm thinking even for them, I want to say 2, 3, even 5, but looking at that control record, it may have to be a 1 or a 4 thrown in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you love to say like, oh, you know, with control coming into the game, you know, there's some late bloomers in there that really start to figure out control towards the end of the season. You know, it's been what 2-3 months to figure out control. So if you haven't figured it out now, chances are you probably won't figure it out at all. But at least you'll hope that maybe you can figure it out. So head-to-head, obviously, you look to the seasonal record, you say sure, but it obviously in the respawns, it favors the study of the University of New Mexico overall. So anyways, we got that out of the way. Let's look at UC Irvine's roster. We'll take a look at who they will be playing with for the rest of the season come the LCQ. Obviously, this roster will consist of Reflect, Tom Stealth, Rezix, and Bonafide. Again, this is not a bad roster by any stretch of the imagination. I know the way that this has been framed up is that they haven't been great in Tier 1, but again, you're playing in a division with Ottawa, with ASU, and some other teams that I shall not name, but overall, yeah, you know, it's definitely going to, you know, kind of hearken the confidence that they had after Stage 1 coming into Stage 2. I just hope it doesn't dampen on them too much to where they go into the LCQ already with a negative mindset.
Yeah, I want to see them play for morale a little bit tonight. You know, depending on how the next couple weeks go, you could slide up the standings. That is still possible. Now, of course, that doesn't do too much as far as LCQ. That's given the lock. But again, it's just something where, like, get some wind in your sails. You know, we talked about it last series if you're coming back. But, you know, find a reason to play just to get some good mentality going into the postseason, right? You want to be able to feel good as a team. Of course, like you said, this has been a grueling tier for them to be in. And, you know, not every team's going to be undefeated. Someone's got to take some losses. But for UC Irvine, they're looking to improve on what they need to going into the postseason, because you can throw all the stats out the window once that come around. And I know that's what they're looking for.
Maddie, Rocket, Dahmers, Solar. Again, we had a Solar last game, but I promise you it's not the same Solar here for the study University of New Mexico. Unfortunately for Solar, you have a tough task here because you have to live up to the 3 streaks, well, I guess the 3 times that Solar was able to drop streaks on the Tuscan Control for the previous teams inside of our next matchup. So that already within and of itself is going to be a difficult task to live up to. But for the University of New Mexico, again, the struggles in Tier 1 very similar to UC Irvine. A lot of similar teams played throughout that same stretch up into this point. The biggest question mark here now is who will find themselves with a better opportunity for seeding as we start getting a little bit closer towards the playoffs. Obviously, we're only 2 weeks away, so realistically, this is, you know, the first of 2 that they're going to be playing this week. Then they have another 2 next week, and that's it. That's GG's. That's done, and that's it for where you're going to be for playoff seeding. You look at our map set here, Cash. Obviously, this is jumping out to you immediately as these teams really like Tuscan and Berlin. a triple dosage, we don't get to say that every day, of Tuscan throughout the first 3 maps, Berlin for the last 2. This is a series where if it doesn't go the distance to 4 or 5, we are going to be very, very, very done with Tuscan by the time we're done with map 3.
Yeah, we'll be getting more than our helping of it here tonight. And looking at these squads, you'd kind of mentioned it going back and forth. Neither of them are bad teams by any stretch of the imagination. And what I even have noted from what I've seen of them, both teams play well evenly as a team. For me, I'm looking to see if anyone has that one pop-off player who can really take over a series and kind of help their team catch fire and pull them along with them. That's really what's missing from either squad. They play balanced, but who's going to go into takeover mode for the team and kind of pull everyone else along? That's what we'll find out, but it's going to be New Mexico on the not preferred side, already getting the first 15 seconds of time.
Well, if anybody's familiar with Fishity from Arizona State University, you can thank him for really being the, I guess, first reputable player to start rocking the Volk, and it was on this map specifically where he was able to dominate, but he took it to multiple maps because Fishity does not like using meta weapons. I don't know what it is about Fishity, but you can go back to last year in Cold War where he used the FFAR the entire year instead of using the 74U or any of the other auto rifles that were inside of the game. So that's just your little 2 cents of college COD history as we start getting into P2, though. 38-4, automatically, it is the side of University of New Mexico who've gotten jumped out to a nice lead early on here. Cash, overall, talk to me. What does UC Irvine need to do on the next set of rotations to not get outplayed?
They need to group up and really give this a clean hit. As 4 players, they're going to go down in the Fetus 3. They're going to have fairly close spawns here, but I'd like to see them hit this together. They're going to try to work a pinch through the back and then through plat, but as both players fall in the back, and now your last player up is in church, and that gets cut down. That wasn't a collective effort, so that's what I'm talking about. No one really was able to get anything going. Of course, when kills aren't going your way, that also doesn't help. Maddie's going to be on 5, a couple other players streaking as well, but for me, it's just looked like very individual play from them to start.
65-7. Rotations over towards the opposite side of the map. Dahmers is going to be the first player there. Look to Tom's stealth off-screen engagement. Dahmers is going to be able to win the one-on-one. So that opens the door for the University of New Mexico once again to get themselves a nice rotation. UC Irvine has not been able to find any sort of way, route, or momentum inside of map number 1. About to be down by 100 points. And we're not even halfway through P3.
And we knew coming into this that New Mexico was the favorite hardpoint team. I mean, at 14-11, that's nothing crazy, to 11-13, but getting inside of this one, again, it just feels like a very disconnected Irvine team to start. Nothing together, no collective break coming in. They're just relying on solo gunfights. And, well, New Mexico's winning all of them. Maddie's still on a 6 streak. A couple other players get cut down from theirs, but with streaks still on the table for that, I fully expect them to use that to blow this game wide open. UC Irvine looking to collect here and make a rotation over to P4, but it's already Dahmers taking the long route.
Full streaks for Maddie. Mexico has run away with this game. Out in the desert, it gets dry right now. UC Irvine has not added any seasoning to their food. We're up top, going to slide around the corner, going to be able to find the first, tries to pick up the second for the first time. UC Irvine are in the double digits here in the hard point. 45 seconds left on the clock. Another break imminent here. They're just trying to wait, set up for everybody to get back in and around the point. First still going to come through, though, from Tom Stealth. Rocky up and towards the top, trying to make a hero play. 3-1 trade for UC Irvine will give them the power position yet again.
Irvine doing a good job playing together here on the P4, playing tight corners. All of their lanes are locked down, not getting overzealous and pushing out where they don't need to. They know they've been losing those gunfights at range and outside of the zone, so at least just trying to make the job as easy as possible. It is going to be New Mexico trying to get in on a last-second break for scrap time. Here they're going to chalk it up and make this rotation to P5, where they will be first. A 70-point lead going into this one. Irvine possibly starting to get warm. That was a decent hold that you needed, right? You got most of your time that you've had this entire game off of that alone. That's what you want to see, but as you go 3 down in the feed, well, it's going to be New Mexico, at least in the early bit of control here on P5.
So at least for UC Irvine, you hit the reset just a bit. New Mexico, obviously, you still have a very influential lead here on Tuscan, but it's manageable now for UC Irvine as you break back in over towards P5. Rockade down below, you're trying to play the staircase with the rest of the team. You're going to go for 2-1, now make it 3 in a row. You try to find number 4. Unfortunate team kill there, but still leaves the side of New Mexico right in front of the hill, where you can try to go ahead for a break. Tom Stealth, though, is going to be able to find 2, so you stay alive for half a second, a team kill comes in, and automatically you flip the script back in your way with 4 straight kills. All blue in the kill feed. Cash, this is where things get interesting, because now that they're only 60 points separated, obviously it's still a large margin to climb out of. At least they've started to get their guns hot.
That's really been the difference maker for them. They got a solid hold behind some good kills on transition for P4. They got an early enough break to where they were able to get near that 100-point mark going back to the second set of rotations. Like you said, those guns getting warm now are going to start to play a factor. Of course, Maddie still having full streaks is going to be something that they'll have in the back of their mind. But as you're starting to string things together here, you're starting to feel good, and now you're already getting early time here on P1.
So kill Bonafide, 3 in a row. Tom Stealth on 4. Volk looking out towards the right side. We've hit our second set of rotations now. 2 straight kills for New Mexico. Glide bomb in over the top. Should be able to find 1, and will from Maddie. That's going to be 4 down on the side of UC Irvine before the reinforcements can start to make their way across the map. Dahmers is already in the back trying to think for the rotation over towards P2. 25 seconds left on P1. Everybody, we're just trying to just get a little bit of scrap time here for UC Irvine. That's basically allowed New Mexico to have free rights over towards P2. They're going to spawn close in the church. You've got to start turning around now, but Solar will find the first one, Rockade for 2, and now UC Irvine will once again be on the outside looking in for P2.
And a great job from New Mexico. They give up 20 seconds of scrap time for the rotation, and they win the transitional gunfights, so Irvine have to hike across the map to even get there. The first 10 to 15 seconds of time should very cleanly go the way of New Mexico. I like how they opted just to give up P1 and look to try to extend this lead and know that the full 60 was going to be worth more than the last 20 seconds, as now we're back out to a 40-point lead. This hit for Irvine is going to come through Platt, 2 kills to kick it off.
Much better of a P1 and P2 this time around for UC Irvine. It was the first 3 hills where they were only able to garner 7 points in total. This time, they're only about 30 points down now on the side of University of New Mexico. As an unfortunate nade's going to be able to go ahead and connect with Reflect inside of the hard point. Rezix and the team are going to be spawning in the back still. Challenge around the corner. Maddie will be able to find the first. Bonafide now down looking on the ramp. Nobody in the hill just yet, trying to clear it on out, but Maddie has just been on a tear over towards P2. 4 in a row. The rotations are there. It's another 4 down here from the University of New Mexico. They're going to be spawning over towards that right side of the map, while also not getting the scrap time. It's got to be a bad feeling.
Definitely that. New Mexico, they've been very clean on their transitions, their gunfights. We see the kill feed go white whenever we're going from hill to hill. They're moving really well around the map together. Irvine trying to make a hit through 3 different lanes. That doesn't work out, so now they're going to be funneled in through this mid-map, and well, you've got Dahmers to go through, who's sitting at 22 and 14. So tall task ahead of you. Solar trying to soak up time and get the player killed off of that. 3 for 1 in the feed gives you an opening, but with these close respawns for New Mexico, I expect them right back on it. This hit from Irvine, it's coming in quick, and it's coming in from the top.
Look at the rail through. Rezix 8 and 18. Has not a standout map number 1, but will be able to take the power position in the back away from University of New Mexico. Dahmers trying to dance his way around the hard point here. Unfortunately, the Fountain of Youth won't be able to save him this time. 212, 134. Rotation over towards the next hill is already going to be won by the University of New Mexico. Maddie is set up and waiting, trying to find a player, maybe sneaking all the way around in the back. Shots there from Tom Stealth are going to be beautiful. Unfortunately, it won't be enough to influence the spawns just yet. However, you get the opening that you needed. You should be able to break into the hill here without giving too much time to New Mexico.
But here comes the saying, as old as time itself. Got to be perfect hard point. If you're New Mexico, you're only 28 points away from winning it here, so you need 1 good break, and you still have plenty of time to do that. We see them grouping up here outside the hill. Gunfight still going the way of Irvine, so they're holding on, and they did find footing the last go around on P4. It is going to be New Mexico still trying to find a way to break in from the front and side, but Irvine, they're holding on for the time being. Still 25 seconds left to fight over. You can't win it here if you're New Mexico, but you sure would like 10 to 15 seconds of scrap time if you can get it. That's what they're in there trying to do, but Irvine, they're holding on, focusing on rotation now.
I would love to see, UC Irvine. I'm glad that they've started to make their way back into this game a little bit. I don't want them to feel disgruntled though, if they're not able to win this because of how large the deficit was to
Mhm.
start this game out. Obviously, you brought it back within 30. Sure, you felt like you might have been able to really turn the tides, win map number one, but it really just never felt like it was within their grasp to be able to do so after such a large deficit at the start of the game. So you'd maybe just like to say mindset-wise, chalk it, go next, GG, read no read, and just focus on the search and destroy here. Obviously, you want to finish this out strong, but with New Mexico towards the point right now, you're just looking for these last few kills. Reflect on the staircase, trying to make your way in. 40 seconds left. Beautiful brief fire there is going to be able to connect. You trace it perfectly around the corner.
Oh my
Can you
gosh.
reflect? Go ahead for 4. Balling on Tuscan.
I mean, giving them a chance, a fighting chance at the very least, as they now eclipse 180 points, a 50-point game. If they can get the rest of the scrap time and make a clean transition to P1, they're right back in it. Now, of course, with 10 seconds left, you expect New Mexico to fight for every second of this. It's going to be Roque who slips through the net, gets over to P1, and of course, if you're Irvine, you can't give up any more of this. They don't, but now 3 players already over on the P1 rotation. It's got to be perfect if they want to get the break.
Up on down. Here comes the break. Reflect around the corner. Be able to find the first beautiful shots. You're playing the contestant for now. You know that Roque's playing that left side corner. You're going to be able to find a couple of stray bullets over towards that left side, but the teammates are going to be there for help. 197, 242. Again, it's got to be perfect hard one here on out, but Reflect will find 2. Dahmers, you got to turn around for that player who's over towards the point. You're going to be able to flank in from behind over towards you. Roque now making their way over towards the point. Stun going to be out. Poke in hand. Long range shots. Rest of the team now making their way. 1 player in you. Here comes the break. Maddie's going to be able to find 1. The second one's around the corner. 1 versus 1. Huge kill from Rezix. You got to go for 1 more. Nobody's going to be close. 5 seconds left. 1 more desperate push. You're not going to be able to get there in time, despite a crazy, desperate comeback from UC Irvine. It's New Mexico. They hang on for map 1.
And I know you were saying don't be, disgruntled if you're Irvine for the scoreline and how it went. Don't be disgruntled at how close they came to coming back from that one. I mean,
True.
I know they're probably more frustrated at that than how devastating the scoreline was. That was definitely within reach. Unfortunately, just let it get a little too out of hand too early on. But hey, they're warmed up. They look to be ready to go for map 2. They made that a much closer score line than it had a right to be given the first set of rotations, 250 to 211. Given the start, not a bad way to end it, but of course, Dahmers at 35 and 23, solid performance. Roque 27 and 19, playing very well. Streaks definitely helped them out as well to get the work done early.
Take a look at the statistics here. Map number 1, 35 and 23 from Dahmers has led the way. Coming into this game, we kind of highlighted Dahmers as a player from New Mexico who, on a consistent basis at least, it tends to be a top slayer, able to frag out for the rest of the team, and has been a shining star, at least early on here instead of the hard point. Obviously, that one got a bit closer than New Mexico might have liked after the start that they got off to, and of course, that's thanks in tow to UC Irvine really starting to turn it around as a collective unit. Maybe you wouldn't assume so there on the scoreboard as everybody was negative to some extent, but comparatively to where it was after those first 2 to 3 hills, I think they'll take those numbers as where they are right now. So 1-0 in the series is where we stand for New Mexico. UC Irvine goes into a search and destroy where they have a decent record at and a nice track record for. Cash, talk to me a little bit here about this next map. Obviously, we go back to Tuscan. Is there anything that stood out to you about the side of UC Irvine on Tuscan that you might like to see change, even though we're going to search and destroy?
For them, I mean, playing some rotations a little bit better. Majority of those were won by New Mexico. So if they can tighten up on that, whether that be bomb retake situations or making a decision to get around the map, given how the first bloods shake out, just a little more decisiveness from them. I think what put them in such a deficit was that it seemed like it was a lot of individual play. So of course, more so than any other mode, you've got to have a lot of teamwork in search and destroy. It's got to be clean and decisive. Again, rotations or trading out first blood. It's got to be there. So for UC Irvine, that's what I'm looking to see them make a little change on. They turned up the slang at the end, though no one went positive for the side of Irvine. It definitely balanced out compared to how the beginning started. So I'm not worried about that for them. They seem to be warm and good to go. It's just a little bit tighter of decision making for them. I think could make all the difference.
I mean, I don't know how vetoes went, but for UC Irvine specifically,
Hmm.
I think that they probably are a bit more keen to playing a map like Tuscan for
Yeah.
hard points. I think it definitely at least played to some of their strengths that we saw really kind of hit the forefront
Hmm.
early on in the game, or rather later in the game. I will say this though, the one hill that they just could not break and or hold was P3, and
Yeah.
they lost a considerable amount of time over on P3. I think out of in total, I think they lost over 100 seconds on that hill specifically out of two different rotations there to New Mexico, and that's just unacceptable. You
Yeah.
have to be able to break that.
Yeah, the game came down to one break. P3 was the most obvious of you clearly did not. You weren't able to crack the code and get in. So yeah, you could pick any one of those hills. They didn't have every one of them. They kind of went 1 for 1 the rest of the way. But yeah, they were 0 for 2 as far as P3 went on getting into that one. But I mean, really, not to jump too far ahead, but I want to mention about the control coming up.
Mhm.
UC Irvine, they've seen 3 round 5s in this. I mean, of course, there's still losses at the end of the day because they lost them. But if you flip that around, they're suddenly 5 and 6. Of course, we can't. But just looking at that and keeping that in the
Sure.
back of our mind as we go to control, I still expect them to, no matter how this map number 2 goes, at least make a stand. But as we go even in the kill feed to kick things off here, we still have a lot of search and destroy ahead of us.
Good blood, better trade for New Mexico. 3 versus 3. Tom has made his way over towards that A site. Reflect in the middle of the map. Going to get the player. Rock A bit weak, forced to back off. 30 seconds off the clock. Dahmer's playing all the way in the back of the spawn. Probably only gonna work once. They're gonna check that every time now if they try to make a flank. But it works here for the opening round. 3-1. Reflecting 1 versus 1 bottom church. You're gonna try and stay alive here, but the bomb will go down over at A.
And let's talk about how impactful Reflect was at the end of that hard point. I mean, the 4 down at P5 to keep them in it was just unbelievable. So I expect Reflect to have a big performance here. We'll see if he's got the ice to be able to clutch this up. Really in a unfavorable position as the bomb goes down. Now Dahmer's looking to make that route, but Reflect, that's the impact player for me if Irvine want to find success.
Hard gunfight to take there. I don't know, especially going up against the Volker and Automaton. Really, that head glitch is just difficult in general. I like the play there, though. You realize you can't really go through the church. There's not enough time to make that rotation when you don't know where the other player is. You just got to take that 1 versus 1, hope for the best, and then try to be able to find yourself that last player a little bit later on, or maybe just the defuse in general. So I like the play there from Reflect to try and slide out around the corner. More importantly, though, New Mexico, they are rewarded for their patience over on the A site. They're able to get it down, take the offensive round, and now it's the side of UC Irvine who have an attempt over on offense. So we're going to be pushed out over towards the left, tries to go for the first blood, and finally we'll find it with the Automaton. Bonafide now from behind. Maddie's going to be pushed up the map. That's 3 quick kills from New Mexico. And here on the defensive side, they have made quick work of UC Irvine. It'd have to be a 1 versus 4 from Tom Stealth, and unfortunately Solar is hounding like a... Oh boy.
Love that aggression. Just that quick change of pace. You said they were rewarded on offense for their patience, and then on defense, they flip the switch and go aggressive. 3 players were already through mid-map for free, essentially, before anyone could react on the side of UC Irvine. They were all focused on getting A locked down. Solar finds the first blood. That opens up mid-map for players like Maddie and Dahmers to run through and have their way. They do just that. So a good round from New Mexico. Pacing definitely favoring them at the moment. We'll see if they opt to switch their offensive hit or if it's going to be another A hit.
And over the top. Bonafide will get taken down by Solar, who's on 3 in a row. Towards the top of the broken apartment, it was Dahmers, who unfortunately falls to the aggression of Tom Stealth there. So in the middle of the map, UC Irvine starting to make their way around. Really nobody in a position for an immediate trade, but luckily enough, it's a 1-on-1 win from Resix that's going to allow them to have a 3-versus-2 advantage. Bomb not down yet, still in the hands of New Mexico over at that ace site. They're playing over towards you, waiting for some aggression from UC Irvine, but I love the play call here. Play together over towards that left side. Tom Stealth finds first. Reflect is there for a nice little help and trade. UC Irvine will find themselves on the board for the first time here in the S&D.
And what won that round for me was Tom Stealth clearing out the back, taking that long route. Everyone for New Mexico committed to that ace site. The Bloods didn't go their way, and they found themselves almost stuck. You had someone pinning them down from outside church, and then when Tom Stealth, really, they were just waiting on him to clear that out and give them the clearance of like, okay, let's run this pinch. They do just that, like you said. Love the play call out of them there. Now on offense, they've got to find a way that works. We'll see if they opt to take a B hit here to switch things up, but it's going to be 1 on the outer lanes, 2 through mid for New Mexico here on defense.
Down the middle. That nade from Re6 is going to be able to find Solar. Dahmers and Rocket, though, will get nice trades for the New Mexico side. 3 versus 2. Bomb in the hands of player number 6 and Re6, who's now left in a 1 versus 2. You find that first kill. Dahmers will back all the way off. You're trying to get to top radio. It's going to be a 1 versus 1. Who's going to be ready? Caught sprinting. It's going to be Dahmers who wins the 1 versus 1. New Mexico survived the round just barely. Great timing there, though, to get to top radio. Dahmers makes the read. Wins it 1-1 with the Volk.
Great reads from New Mexico to take that round defensively. UC Irvine, they've been getting first bloods at times, whether it be with nades or things of the sort, but they were just caught on rotation there, like you had said. Good reads from New Mexico to make that play. Bomb went down mid-map over at P5, and that was just unlucky timing for them. Now it's going to be New Mexico giving it a similar look. Don't know if they see anything, but the tack usage has to be giving something away. All 4 players here. It's going to be Irvine. They're on the read.
Re6 will spawn out the second player. Taps back around. Dahmers on the staircase gets taken down by Tom Stealth. So, yet again, it's UC Irvine who finds the first blood, but New Mexico immediately trades 2 players out of their own, gives themselves the man advantage instantaneously. Solar shots to the left side there. I don't think he thought that he was going to get those couple of hit markers, so just was going to back off over towards the right. But unfortunately, the wrong decision to make there. Reflect around the corner. Rocket is going to be there, but allows the teammate to have a little bit of a bait and switch. Tom Stealth all the way up and towards the top of the radio. No Solar is in the back spawn, but has to go ahead and retrieve the bomb. 35 seconds left. Solar, the challenge around that left side. Going to get some shots over the top. Tom Stealth hasn't rotated out yet. Beautiful jump challenge there. We'll give New Mexico their 4th round.
Great job to challenge that, knowing bomb was down and still had to be collected. Solar at 8-3. Having a map number 2 here, coming alive for New Mexico, and they find themselves up, as you had said, 4-1, looking to go up 2-0 in the series. Really, it's Solar doing the work in and out of the rounds for New Mexico. Dahmers, of course, has made some good plays. So, Maddie hitting the routes early on, though at 3-5 now. Looking good for the team. UC Irvine, they're going to try to go back-to-back B hits, but I think New Mexico Dahmers once again strikes in the mid-map. They're ready.
8-3 from Solar, 3 in a row. New Mexico looking to extend their lead in this series to 2-0. Dahmers up in the top, looks out towards the left, is able to find the first. 2 players now all the way from behind in the top of the apartment buildings are going to be at least able to find a trade. Still, it's only going to be a 2 versus 3. Yet again, disadvantage for UC Irvine when it comes to the life count. Bonafide will even that out, though. So at 2 versus 2, the bomb is still down over by player number 1 and Maddie, who's just playing the jiggle peek around the corner, waiting for a push. I would love to see the New Mexico players play a bit closer here, especially since they know that the bomb is down. That's neither here nor there, though.
Rocket gonna challenge both Irvine players playing together, and where I was gonna say they gave up so much map positioning, given where bomb went down and not having someone over at A. Now they've put themselves in a position to win this round. The time being the biggest problem, and not having bomb is also an issue. They're gonna try to do it by kills. Rocket with a little shimmy Euro step around the wall. Other kills gonna get cleaned up. University of New Mexico, they're up 5-1.
I was staring at the minimap in that little engagement there between Maddie and Rocket as they were, or not Rocket, Maddie and the player who was just playing Ring Around the Rosie over towards the spawn side, and it was crazy because, like, you know, I thought, okay, this is going to be the flank of the century here. I thought Maddie was about to make the best play ever. All of a sudden, it was a complete redo because Maddie had pushed into a different area, and then he and Re6 had gone right past one another. All of a sudden, Re6 turns around, gets the shot off, and then Maddie turns on the player, and then it causes everything to just fall out of whack. Okay, well, that's 3 kills right off the rip. Solar now has to commit to a 1 versus 4. Turning all the way back around to spawn. Okay, that's the second one. Reload the weapon. Around the corner inside you. Maybe you wait for the challenge there, but very doable now for Solar. Usually it's on the second player in a 1 versus 4 that falls, that allows you to go ahead and make some noise, potentially clutch the 1 versus 4. Finally, Bonafide will go ahead and find that final kill, but 3 quick kills to open up the round there. They didn't even let me finish my point. That was kind of rude, dude. Not going to cap.
Can't lie. They're trying to start this comeback, and hey, 3 down in the kill feed, that's a way to get the ball rolling for you. Now, once again, it's feeling like the hard point where even if they can rip off a couple rounds, it's got to be 4 straight at this point, make that 5 given last round. To do it, have you let New Mexico build up too much of a lead to where you can't make any mistakes. That's what it's looking to be. But Irvine, they still have a chance to respond. And for the third offensive round in a row, they're looking to get this B hit. And for the first time, they do get through P5 cleanly.
Congratulations to them. However, they do have Maddie on the corner just playing the head glitch. Able to find the first, snaps out around to the second, so it is an immediate trade. This time it's UC Irvine on the short end of the stick. That first blood, but that trade was nice. Roque, that's a gunfight you have to win if you're playing that little head glitch there on the staircase up in the radio. 2 versus 2. Tom Stealth lays down on the plat. Roque now from behind. Doesn't read it. Pops up. Unfortunate timing there on the mantle. UC Irvine refuses to die. They stay alive for another round. 5-3 in the S&D here on Tuscan.
And they're playing with a little more tempo. They're not giving, at least where they have in previous offensive rounds, New Mexico the chance to respond off that B hit. And if I'm New Mexico, I'm surely thinking they're not going to be again. So good for them for really testing their luck in that regard. They win their gunfights. Don't even have to get the bomb down there. Now just need 3 rounds in a row to do it. New Mexico still need 1 to get it done. And they're going to go all 4 players over at A, try to get this first blood off the board, but it's mid-map aggression coming in for Irvine.
He was on the head glitch, jumps up, plays a jiggle peek yet again. From the middle of the map, pinstripe kill feed, UC Irvine, man advantage. Again, refusing to die. Not going away in the S&D just yet. Solar at 10-7, unfortunately wiped off the board here. Maddie, great timing there on a stealth. Might be able to get this bomb down here in just a moment. We'll back all the way off over towards that left side. Information on these last 2 UC Irvine players is there. However, Roque is now going to have to back all the way off. With 45 seconds left, there's plenty of time to work for the bomb, but you want to get a pick as well. UC Irvine, fortunately, have the bomb information in their hands. It's just going to be a weird rocky play that could cause some trouble.
And if they just hold their pre-aims here, they should be fine. They have everything locked. V6 is going to give it up. Bonafide there. There's the information. There's the jump. And now they're going to adjust accordingly. They know Rocket's got to work all the way around to try and get this bomb again. And I think given the time, that's just not going to happen. He'd have to get both of these kills. They split. They win their ones anyway. Like you said, refusing to die. That's 3 straight. Now we see it at 5-4. Taking it 1 round at a time. This is still doable for UC Irvine, New Mexico. It's their turn to respond.
All you got to do, 1 round at a time. The wise words have attached. It's never chalked, especially when it comes to an S&D on Tuscan, where anything can happen at any given time. All it comes down to is these first bloods. Re6 on 4 in a row. 3 kills, could get a glide bomb. 2 kills, you'll go ahead and earn yourself a shooty pilot, as Cruisin' Spaz would say. Bonafide looking for a nade over the top of the tree, trying to find one all the way over towards the left. Solar might be on the unfortunate receiving end of that grenade. However, we'll back all the way off with the life. Now it's going to be 3 players stacked over towards the B side in the middle of the map. And for UC Irvine, it's still that A hit you're trying to commit to.
And that's what UC Irvine has opened up for themselves. Whenever you hit B 3 rounds in a row, which is pretty unorthodox, you open up this A site. Now they aren't acting on it as quickly as they could. New Mexico still could make this read over. But you've opened up this site and given yourself a chance to get the bomb down here. They're just trying to work around a pick if they can. They are going to find Solar. That is going to open up the site. Now New Mexico are making the adjustment. Of course, it's Dahmer and Top Fire making a pick. Roque also getting the job done around the map. So life advantage to New Mexico. What was a round we had an opening. Now flank, everything. Map position lost for UC Irvine. They've got to pull off something big.
You say big? Well, in the back spawn. But if I was able to find one now, 1 versus 2, you look to the top of church. Roque is going to get some good timing there. Fortunately enough, though, keep yourself alive. Beautiful nade there. In Cash, you know, the beginning of that round kind of showed me the perpetuate cycle that UC Irvine got into. They would get a first blood on the board, and then immediately New Mexico would be able to find 2 kills right next to one another, and that would automatically turn what was a great first blood into uselessness, because 2 players would either get caught off guard or they'd lose their one-on-ones, and all of a sudden now you're down 2-3 when you should have had that 4-3 advantage, especially on those offensive rounds where it can be so hard to retake a site once you've lost it when the defense is able to get pushed up. Either way, 10-8 from Solar puts the exclamation mark on it for New Mexico. Dahmer's at 9-6. Overall, it was a nice performance for the Search and Destroy. It should have probably ended a bit sooner. Again, UC Irvine, the biggest adversaries in that game, unfortunately, was themselves.
And that's just kind of been the tale of at least this stage for them, where they've been in close situations. I even said it in the control. They've been in 3 round 5s. In the control, they've had close S&Ds. They've been able to take S&Ds. They've had close hard points and been able to take a couple. It's just a little too inconsistent, or they're catching fire just a bit too late. That has been true for us tonight through the hard point and through the Search and Destroy. They get something going, but by the time that gets happening, they don't afford themselves any room for error. New Mexico, all they had to do was win one to close it out. They do just that. Now we go to a map through control where, once again, favoring New Mexico, but you see Irvine, the adjustment they've got to make is to get some work done early. Don't put themselves on the back foot. Again, don't be your biggest enemy, like you said.
Yeah, and overall from map number 2 and map number 1, I think kind of the biggest thing is UC Irvine have this trend of too little, too late. We saw map 1; they started off super slow. They started to find their footing in the map. They made some great adjustments, but I feel like it's just those small adjustments that need to be made early on in games. Either they don't get the brain juices flowing fast enough, or it's just they can't put it into action as fast as they want to, and that in turn leads down a unfortunate road, which has turned into an 0-2 deficit inside of the series. Again, neither of these teams have been necessarily standouts when it comes to the tier 1 portion of the West in stage 2. However, I don't expect that again to stay when it comes to the LCQs. Again, you're in a division that not only houses Ottawa, but of course ASU, the Hilltoppers, ICC, Westcliff. I mean, you're looking at like half of the top 10 right there inside of your division. So were you expected to come out even in the top 3? The answer is no. So you're just setting your sights on not only pushing forward, but getting through the LCQ and then finding your way back inside of the playoffs. I don't know where these two teams have their goals for playoffs, whether it be, just making playoffs or maybe a top 32, top 16 run, whatever it may be. Hopefully they're able to accomplish that when playoffs come around. Either way, a 2-0 lead is going to go ahead and send us to a break. On the other side of a break, obviously, we had a triple dosage of Tuscan, so we're not going anywhere from Tuscan. We'll be there for map number 3. My name is Cash.
Is it now?
Yeah, screw it.
Yeah,
My name is Cash. That's McCormiel. We'll be back here after a break. My stomach is growling. I'm a bit hungry. I know the side of New Mexico is also a bit famished as well. They're trying to go ahead and end their drought of losing inside of Tier 1 in Stage 2. They're trying to close this out 3-0 against the side of UC Irvine. Gosh, we go back to Tuscan for the 3rd time in a row. We go to Control this time, which is notorious for being long and played out. Will it be the same way here? Well, we'll just have to find out. Hopefully the answer, at least for UC Irvine, is no, so they can go ahead and find themselves on the map 4 on Berlin as quickly as humanly possible, get some momentum, and recharge themselves in the series.
Yeah, this has got to be their kickstart here. They found themselves in Game 5s throughout the stage, or round 5s throughout the stage in Control. So they're no strangers to getting at the distance. It's just a matter of really closing it out. As we've seen, it's kind of been a tale of too little, too late for them tonight. New Mexico really want to put this one down in a 3-0 fashion. For me, Irvine, I mean, what has to change? It's been the same thing we were saying all series. It seems like New Mexico, they're just a little more decisive, a little bit quicker, working around the map, where UC Irvine just feels a tad behind. So for me, it's them getting on the same page, really starting to figure that out. Again, the slaying hasn't been lopsided to where, like our last series where it was just like devastating, and that's something you can point at. For me, they're just a little bit slower on their decision making and cohesiveness, and that's what's really showing when you get down to the nitty gritty of the score lines.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think if you're UC Irvine, if you're going to win this series, I mean, obviously for anybody with 2 eyes, a brain, and working ears, you've heard us say it multiple times, you have to win the swing map of Control if you want to be able to at least have a chance. Obviously, a reverse sweep would have to happen. Yeah. But again, like at the end of the day, although this is an important match, this isn't the end of the world if either team win and or lose this, because it's not going to affect really your rankings when it comes to, we might still be able to have a very slim chance of making it to playoffs with an automatic qualification. This is more just, all right, let's take a back seat, let's work on some things, and this is one of those matches for both of these teams. It's basically a glorified scrim before the LCQ against teams who are going to be playing likewise to what you're going to see against some of the top of tier 2 inside of the West and the Midwest regions, and maybe even in towards the top and depths of T3. So there's a lot of teams that are going to get really, really good before playoffs. Obviously, you don't want to have that drought after spring break. You know, there might still be a feel of lackadaisical play within your roster coming back from spring break. Maybe, you know, you went to Florida, you got effed up for the entire weekend, and you were having a great time on Old South Beach or wherever it might be. But now you're back in college again. You're trying to play some Call of Duty, but more importantly, you're trying to make playoffs, and that's where you really have to put the nail down, put the hammer in, and say, all right, we're really going to go to work here, because that's what we need to do. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
And what a way to send us into our map number 3. It is going to be UC Irvine. As we saw in Search and Destroy, just blindly running at this B site, and they really need to get a good break here and have this pay off for them. If they can walk out with a ticket progression, that's a win for them on this offensive round. They have site control for the time being, but the collapse is quickly coming in from New Mexico. Solar finds one in radio. Rocket finds one. Oh, well, Solar finds the other 2. So, yeah, that's going to be the B hit, null and void. And they got 1 ticket progression. I guess that's the win out of it. So you came in, you did what you needed to. You only lost a couple lives out of it. Now you've got to make that transition back, but it's Solar and Rocket on the other side doing their thing.
Cash, please tell me that we're not going to see the reincarnation of Solar become Solar again.
I feel like we're on pace for it.
I mean, we are. I mean, from map 1, it was... Jesus! Okay, well, that's one way to use an MP40 here on Tuscan. If you're keeping track of kills right now, well, it's out of University of New Mexico, who have 10 across the board. Maddie's still alive, by the way, all the way in the back and from behind. Getting a big mixing here on Tuscan. Middle of the map around the left side corner. I thought maybe, just maybe, Maddie was going to get another one there. However, it's UC Irvine who go ahead and find themselves the first bit of progress over at A. Still a lot of work to do here in this round of control.
And I was totally blind. There was no ticket progression at B, so not only do you throw away the lives, which is via 5 life disparity here, you don't get any progress. Yeah, you're working towards A and getting there, but really got to rebalance the scales as far as the kills go. It really got out of hand there early. It's within 5, and you only have a minute and a half to get across the map. So again, where they've been struggling is decisiveness and coordinated pushes. They only have a couple hits at this based on even what we've seen from them tonight. Reflect opens things up in Church. Let's make that not 2, but 1. But that still opens up the lane here through P4 for them to make a play. Again, it's got to be together. It's got to be cohesive. You've got to stay alive for these 2 players coming up off of spawn. That's what they're trying to do here. This could be a good break for them if they find these kills.
60 seconds to work with. Rocket going to jump on down. 16-9, 7 life disparity between these 2 teams. Tom Stealth on top of radio trying to find his way out over towards Maddie. Shots in the back and the pepper one up, force him to back all the way off. Dalmer's in the middle of the map, will be able to find 1, tries to flank around for 2 and 3. Unfortunately, it won't be enough, as it is UC Irvine who is starting to make their way back up the map yet again. Nade in towards the top, stun going to weaken him up as well. Rocket forced to back off, but a beautiful nade left behind is going to take down Tom, force UC Irvine to stall out their push yet again, and now you're in a spot where no respawns are remaining. 4-14, 20 seconds left. You can call this one a GG to go next.
Solo and Rocket really were the only names we were calling out for that round. Maddie had a nice couple 2 pieces there. Dahmer's holding things down as well. But as you said, New Mexico, their role in the way they have been all series for UC Irvine, it's just not cohesive. They're just a step behind. New Mexico punishing them for it here in the respawn. And something we even had for New Mexico in their keys to success is going to be improving on those respawns, as we have mentioned several times throughout the night, throughout these series. Teams are just looking to make these improvements and sharpen up on things going into playoffs. Of course, there's still 2 weeks of regular season. You don't want to take your eyes off of that. But going into playoffs, you want to be as sharp as you can. For New Mexico, it is improving on their respawns. They do just that in map 1. They've already taken care of business pretty handedly here on their first defensive round in control. So checking those boxes for New Mexico. They're looking sharp on the improvements they need to make.
This little blood on Dahmers up and towards the top of radio. 2-2, we go back and forth. Right now, the UC Irvine will be on top by 1 kill. Try to get some progress over towards B. You're going to see player number 6 and 4 making their way all the way around the back side of UC Irvine. Unfortunately, they're going to pay no attention to him, and that's actually probably the best play to make here until you really start needing to, because you're just going to start pushing your way up the map and forcing your will on the opposition. Around the corner, Rocket is going to be a beautiful snap, trying to get on the site, but it's going to be the player in you and Dahmers who's going to be really the last one to make some noise. And I guess the solar plank kind of works. I don't know if that's exactly the value they wanted to get out of that cash. You get a kill and get back over towards the site, but you're not even able to get a tick of progress at A.
Yeah, I feel like it was more so saying, okay, we can't have solar sit here the whole round because we're not really finding any success at A. That does open up a lane for B. They do get the stack coming in, so already a tick and a half of progression on this B side. It is going up quicker than UC Irvine can react. They have the lanes locked down. That's going to be all the ticks of progression in at this B site. I say that, and there go 3 down in the feed for New Mexico. So they do stop the bleeding for the time being, but with 2 ticks of progression already in this B site, really, they've got to make up their mind at some point and just try to get one of these. They're going to go back to A. Irvine are going to try to hold them off here, but New Mexico, if they can get this A site, that B site should be approved.
Tommy was trying to extend the streak at 7 in a row. You're at least going to have utility in the back pocket now if you are UC Irvine. Reflect the nade, 2 ticks of progress over at A. All of a sudden, this round has changed complexion in its entirety. New Mexico, they're going to get an extra minute on the clock. 3 lives separate these teams, and all they need to do is get their little toes over on that B point and get 1 bit and tick of progress. Maddie, Solar, pair for 2. You can start making your way up the map. The 50-point mark has been crossed. So when it comes to positioning yourselves on the mini-map, be interesting to see the play here. I like how you're putting 2 up and towards the north portion of the map, but a one-on-one gunfight goes to the hands of Tom Stealth. Bonafide's there. Sure, if you're Maddie, you get the trade, but it's still a 2-1. Try to make it a 2 for 2, but it's a 3-1. Now, if you're Maddie, you're by yourself with 50 seconds left, down by 4 lives.
You're holding on if you're Irvine. You have the lead, or the life advantage as well, but with 45 seconds left, them only needing 1 tick for New Mexico, I'd like to see them really play this strategically. Even if it's your last hit, you only need 1 tick of progression. It's 1 clean 4 down, and then you just fly at this point. They open it up with the kill. Dahmers gets 1, 2 for 1, a pinstripe kill feed. Irvine, they hold on for the time being with 30 seconds left. The life value on Maddie is so important right now to stay alive. I don't even know if they know he's back here.
No respawns remaining, but you get 2 quick kills. Now you can get back on over towards the point. Again, the win condition is only being able to complete that last tick of progress at B, but you feel like Maddie dying there might be the final nail in the coffin here for the defensive round win for UC Irvine. 1 versus 7. Yeah, that's not going to happen most times. So UC Irvine will get on the board here in the control. Again, it's not something that we're not used to seeing. We're very acclimated with having the game go 1-1 all the way down to game around 5 when it's 2-2. That's just how control plays in this game, and specifically defensive and offensive rounds pan out on Tuscan.
New Mexico did get 5 out of 6 ticks of progression there, so they do have the advantage as we look ahead towards a potential round 5, as you said. And really, as these controls come down to, it's offense and who can take that first one. New Mexico, they gave it their best shot and came the closest. If you're Irvine, you've got to respond with getting progress at B here if you want any chance to extend this to a round number 5. But they're going to open it up just focusing on A. But Solars and Dahmers, they just run around, man. Whenever they get in you, they are just, I mean, we've seen it 2 maps back to back. Whenever they get in this position here on this top side of the map, they are trouble to have to get out.
I mean, Solar might not have been streaked, 3 times in full, but 22 and 12, nothing to scoff at when you look to what University of New Mexico has done as a collective unit. Maddie and 8 onto the point, left side, almost collects a teammate in the process, peppers him up as well, but at least the pistol will be enough. Pinstripe kill feed, back and forth we go, 3-3 trade. It's going to be Rock A, player number 2, and Re6 back on the point. Rock A is just going to go ahead, clear the zone. Player on the platform play their life just a bit longer, waste a bit more time. However, while that's been happening over at B, at A, they've got their first bit of progress. They're going to be able to find their second as well. They've stacked this point with 2 players. Now the third will go ahead and hop on for a bit more fun. Right at a fair. Right now, University of New Mexico, they're waiting in line.
Irvine, they've looked much cleaner than the first round. The life disparity, only 2 here, where it was at least 5 given their first go at offense. Now with a minute 45 on the clock, they have the opportunity here to really work this map, and if they can clear out P5 here, this could open up a huge lane for them. Now they get the kill in church as well. The collapse comes in with 1 player left for New Mexico. They fall, so if this stack comes in, they could definitely get that second tick tied up as far as that goes and set themselves up much better here for their next run.
They just have it stacked. UC Irvine, they just have it stacked. They're just trying to get back over to the point right now on New Mexico. Tom Stilson the hill. Tom Stilson the hill, almost able to find the last one there. 1 versus 1. Maddie, oh, cheeky. 2 ticks of progress, 1 left. Offensive round almost won by UC Irvine. 13-11, the life advantage for the University of New Mexico. The Lobos have a considerable lead when it comes to ticks after their first offensive round, but that one from UC Irvine right there, that's really going to do some damage when it comes to how New Mexico have to play their next offensive round. Whether they win this or not is to be told still. 11-8, 3 life disadvantage to the side of UC Irvine, still trying to make their way up the map. But if you look to player number 5 and Maddie, still trying to cause havoc in the backside spawn. Solar's going to be able to take down 1. Unfortunately, though, will collect the teammate in the process. That at least will spawn them back over towards B. UC Irvine only need 1 tick of progress.
And the spread from Irvine is interesting. You're really putting faith in your players to win their 1v1s. They're not playing all that much together. We see them grouping up here just a little bit in radio and maybe P5. Now looking to turn their heads towards church, but they've got to win these 1v1s. Maddie doing oh so good at snapping around this map, and they've got to find these kills and clear these players out in the back before they can start to advance towards this site. Find one in alley, but that doesn't grant clearance for them as players fall. They find themselves in the same position as last time, just 2 players left and no time left on the clock. New Mexico, they hold on once again on defense and go up 2-1.
You know, say what you will, Maddie at 17-9, now 18-9. About Maddie's performance here in map number 3, Cash, he has been on the sunshine side of every engagement that he has had when it has massive implications in a round. I can name you back over by the A site in round 1, where he was able to pop a 2-piece and keep them from capping that, which allowed them to at least get a bit more time inside of the round, and then that prolonged it almost to where they were able to clutch it up at the very end. But more importantly, there, bottom of the B zone, 1 versus 1, was able to turn around with a pistol, win that in a crazy situation where he not only saves potentially that round, but allows him to have a 2-1 lead now with the opportunity on the offensive side to close out this series.
I love seeing nearly even stat lines, but again, getting to watch series, like you said, it's been such a joy seeing him get the kills that mean the most to the rounds. 18 and 19, no, you look at that and say, oh, that's an all right game. But again, where those 18 kills have come in and at the time that they have in the rounds, like you said, that's made all the difference in this New Mexico control that we've seen thus far. Having a wonderful game, 18 and 20, doesn't look like that from an eye test standpoint, but as far as the intangibles that those bring as far as positioning and timing on the map go, Maddie's doing it all. I guess you gotta mention Solar, but still, Maddie, as far as that goes, I look at Solar, and of course, in the kill department, he's doing it all, but Maddie's doing the intangibles that you want someone like an endgame leader to do around the map.
19 and 20 for Maddie now. 21-21. 2 minutes left inside of our control round here. Win condition for New Mexico: either cap the B point or win outright in terms of slaying. Overall, you got to get that 20 number that UC Irvine has under their logo down to 0. Minute and 45 to do so, and unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like dwindling those lives down is going to be the answer to their prayers. It could be a round 5 scenario. Again, we just have to wait and see, but they are going to need to get at least 1 tick on this B site to secure themselves a defensive round here. When we do talk about a round number 5, they do that, well, theoretically, they should have the game sealed.
They should, and Irvine responds 4 down. Again, holding on. They are no strangers to round 5 in control. This is something they want to improve on going into playoffs. They want to show that they can be on the winning side of that. And the way they're playing here in this late round, I mean, just their setup across the map. They know where these players are going to be coming from New Mexico, where the next hit is. With 60 seconds left, you know, you can kind of figure it'll be one last P4 hit, and then the rest have to come through P5. They're reading it well. Players on 4, I mean, they've got 10 kills in the feed that haven't been traded out. This is just uncharacteristic from New Mexico to not have done that yet.
Yeah.
And then for Irvine, they're turning up when they need to.
Pushing so far into their spawn side, 5 lives remaining for New Mexico. In your mind, you just gotta say, hey, we're chalking this round up, boys. I mean, sure, you get over towards this B point, and this actually might be big, because you're trying to secure yourselves a defensive round. However, in the back, it's gonna be 2 quick kills, now 3. Last one trying to suffice here at the very end. Roque almost was able to turn onto the last player in reflex. That should be it. With 1 life left, you push into the middle. Maddie just bolstering the kill feed right now. Trying to cut a couple of players off streaks potentially, but you don't want to feed reflect anything else, because at 6 in a row, you're sitting 1 kill away from that glide bomb, which could have significant impacts when it comes to this next round. I believe if the math has done me right, I believe that New Mexico should still get the defensive side. I just completely butchered that. I meant to say UC Irvine. I promise you I did. UC Irvine is going to get the defensive side because New Mexico wasn't able to find that first tick. Good luck, gents. We'll see how this one plays out. 6 in a row for Reflect, 5 in a row for Tom Stealth.
I feel like the advantage is favoring UC Irvine. They're feeling good. They're peaking in this control when they need to. If they want to turn around winning these round 5s, it's got to be here. You're on defense. You couldn't have asked for a better way to get yourself in this position. Can you hold on? You can't slip up and let New Mexico make big plays. We've seen them show flashes of it throughout this series and throughout this map specifically. If you're UC Irvine, you've just got to hold on. Tom, invest the streak early to get back map clearance, but the A site, it's open for New Mexico to try and flood and stack.
I like the plan, I dislike it, and I'll explain why. So Tom Stealth is also going to be, has the full streaks, right? You use that, though, and the reason I don't like it is because obviously it's super early in the round, and so many things can happen from here on out throughout the rest, where you might need that streak desperately later, and you're just not going to have it. But the reason I like it is because you allow yourselves, and you kind of hit it on it already, you allow yourselves to get map presence, and then force everybody from the side of New Mexico back over towards that A point for a bit of time, and then you can just play for kills.
The kill's not going their way, though, at the moment. It's going to be New Mexico back on this B site. Only 1 person on it, ever so slowly getting ticks of progression. Roque and others playing around it. We see the second streak invested. Not going to amount to anything, so still progress made at the B site. You have 1 tick and still presence here. The lane 4A is opened. With 36 seconds left, of course, they're going to have to make a decision, but Roque with the snapper. Trying to win this one on offense here for New Mexico.
Not a shot. You let him turn on you like that, and your teammates can't get a trade and allow him to almost find a second kill in the spawn. I was about to sit there and say, oh my god, oh man, he just got some really bad timing, jumped over the staircase, or jumped over the ladder on him. Oh man, he's about to get shot in the back, and then he whips on him 180 and does run again. Okay, now Reflect's turn to go ahead and do it right back. 13-13, 1 tick of progress over at B, minute and 30 seconds left here. New Mexico trying to close out this series. UC Irvine trying to stay alive.
If Solar can stay alive here, that would have been so huge to keep that progress going up, but it's Maddie in the back. How many times this map have we seen him play spoiler with the positioning that he has? Who knows if they're aware of him or at least just playing it safe, but the extension from Irvine, Maddie has a 1v1 that he could win and start to get progression, but he's just waiting for his teammates to get any kind of clearance or opening with the kills. They're not quite going their way yet. 2 more go down in the feed, so Maddie's going to go right back to where he was. Just play for positioning, but if you're Irvine, you hold on, and you have a 4 life advantage. This could be what they need, and look at where they're stacked on the map. They are just playing cutoff.
There's a feeling in the air right now that this very easily could be the door closing on New Mexico to shut this series out in a 3-0 fashion. Making their way into the P5 building. Roque up with Solar. Looking to radio to see if anybody's going to try and cut this off. Oh. Maddie goes big. 2 kills. You look back to radio, you hop on the point, you're just trying to hold on. Maddie's gonna find number 3. You go ahead and look to the ramp, try to go for number 4, but off the spawn, here they come. No respawns remaining now for New Mexico. Back to the staircase, Reflect will go big for another 2-piece. Rocket with the snap will escape with the life for the time being, but a 2 versus 6. Solar has had a great game thus far, won't be able to find the shots. Maddie, you've gone huge. 1 kill there, you gotta slide down, 6 seconds left, you can't do it. UC Irvine, stay alive. And in the worst game mode for both of these two teams, for the first time, UC Irvine, they come out uncontested as a champion.
All defensive rounds there to take that one. A little shocking. Generally on Tuscan, at least you see one offensive round go the way, but UC Irvine, they hold on. I reflect 40 and 33, 43 and 31 out of another player. So, you turn up when you need to. Tom Stealth having a map, of course, as well. And when you lead the lobby with kills like that you would like to think would warrant you a control win. They get it done. Push us to a map number 4 where we will be switching gears and going to Berlin for our hard point. And what a control that was.
83 kills between 2 players. 83. Again, you don't see that every day, even in like a hard point, let alone a control. I mean that's over 2.5 rounds of control lives that you had to wipe off the board between 2 of them, and that's again not even counting EKIA. So yeah. 34 being non-traded kills on the 43 kills. So that's for those of you who are good at math, that's 9 kills that New Mexico was able to trade out on Tom Stealth. I shouldn't have to tell you anything else for you to know that that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a no-no. Shouldn't do that. Shouldn't have that happen. Those are the intangibles that simply cannot allow not only a map win, but you can't allow that to happen. So, Cash, let me ask you this question here. Are you impressed with the way that UC Irvine was able to turn that map around and give themselves a fighting chance coming into Berlin?
Yeah, I am. I talked about it coming into it, how they've been on the cusp of finding success and control. They're 2-6 now. 3-6 could very easily be a 6-6. Or it could be a much better looking score line for them. They do make the improvement to win in a round 5 situation. They got defense that helped them hold on. I'm not gonna say whether they could or couldn't on offense. Obviously, neither team could take an offense in that Tuscan control, but like you said, it sounds obvious. If you've got 2 eyes, ears, and a brain, you've got to win that mode if you want to try to extend the series. They do just that. We switch gears to Berlin, and I'm not sure that I'm feeling all that much better for them. I'd hate to say it's prolonging the inevitable, unless really they come out hot here. The way that New Mexico has come out, you saw how the first hard point went. They had a 100-point lead to kick things off, especially on Berlin, where you can get punished for not rotating. The P3 that New Mexico had on Tuscan, that could very easily be a P4 on Berlin or a P2. So as much as that control was great for them and wind in their sails for the series, and it was impressive for them to pull that off, for New Mexico, I'm still feeling them in the respawns. Irvine would have to really show me something here off this opening.
I mean, they're trying for the reverse sweep, but overall, I think the thing for me is you go to a change of scenery after winning that last Tuscan, and I don't again know the vetoes for the series, but if UC Irvine was wanting to go to a map number 4 of Berlin, and it just so happened that okay, well, now we have ourselves a win condition where they might have their best map in front of them. I think it could be great. The thing is, map number 1, it was UC Irvine who were only able to get 7 seconds off of point 1. They've already gone ahead and surpassed that here with an early hole of P1. So, I mean, let's just say this, Cash. If UC Irvine is able to get out to a quick start, I think they win this game by 100 points.
I can agree with that. I think they're definitely warm enough at this point, playing a little more gelled here, but the kill feed is gonna go 4 for 4 at times. I mean, just with the slaying power on either side, you've got to be able to expect it from New Mexico. How are they gonna bounce back whenever New Mexico gets a good hold? That's the improvement they need to make from map 1. They get a good bit of time, but it is New Mexico who break in and now draw it up to even and almost get a lead, but Tom Stell's picking up where he left off. 3 there in the feed to secure the rotation for the team, and this line that they have set up, again, it looks much more cohesive than Tuscan did the first go around. Now, ball in New Mexico court to try and make a break. They open up with 2.
See, it looks cohesive, but then it breaks apart just like that.
Yeah.
Dahmers is almost able to win a crazy one-on-one. Rezix had to back off, lay down with 10 HP. And towards the point, Reflect is going to be able to find his first kill. But towards the top, you at least know where Rock A is. So you fly out the doorway. Unfortunately, Dahmers is there. That's a 4 clean wipe for New Mexico. 6 in a row for Dahmers. One more kill. Of course, you'll have the glide bomb.
25 seconds left on P2 before we set our eyes to P3. It's gonna be Irvine, who have a chance to give this one more hit for scrap time, but at this point probably just gonna chalk it up to trying to make a rotation. But on the move already is New Mexico, and they're winning these gunfights. This is what they did the last go round on hardpoint. They were winning those transitional gunfights, setting themselves up for the ability to walk into a point, essentially. Irvine, they're just holding on in their spawns, trying not to let anyone through Doc's side to flip them out. They're getting this early bit of time, but these next few gunfights are going to be critical if they want to have any kind of time in this hill.
Making their way back in. Glide bomb going to be used. Rock A. Looks to the front of the hill. Try and find a couple of shots. Maybe a kill in the process. Dahmers 2 on 8 in a row. Tries to make it number 9 and finally will. Could have been 10 if his teammate didn't steal his kill. Such a shame. You look back over toward P1. Make your way up in the middle of the map. Dahmers is going to be there, but unfortunately we'll find the bullet from Bonafide's Automaton right to the face. That will knock him down and off of the streak. So, New Mexico, a little bit of a hot hand that they had early on at the start has done them well. 20 points to the good right now. UC Irvine was trying to hold on to the scrap time. Unfortunately, weren't able to find it. However, they have the consolation prize rotating over towards P4.
And for Irvine, if you're going to get broken, at least get broken where you still are winning majority of the hill time. Unfortunately, they are getting broken with 35 to 40 seconds left, which is what's given New Mexico a 30-point lead through 3 hills. They are going to get this early bit of time, but again, on transition, it seems like you said, it looks cohesive, and then New Mexico, they find a couple of kills and everything just collapses. They haven't found a way to hold on to hill successfully. First 20 seconds go uncontested, so that's a win here, but you still find yourself down about 10 points, 1 player left in the hill trying to stay alive. They, well, would have fallen if Maddie hadn't ran out of ammo, but you stay alive and it works out for you. Reinforcements come in. So far, uncontested P4 for UC Irvine, a chance to get a full 60 here potentially.
You know, you say like, you know, oh, if he doesn't run out of ammo there, he gets that kill. Yeah, that's true, but he also missed like half of the clip. So like,
that is also true.
You know, it's a give or take. What are you gonna choose there? But New Mexico, they go ahead, stop the bleeding just a bit from UC Irvine's hold on P4. They do just enough to not allow them to get tons and tons of time. Over on the rotation over on P5, 4-point game. Rezix will find the first kill on the Solar. Reflect there with the beautifully dazzling gun. That guy loves Vanguard.
See, I mean, Maddie at 5 and 10, but was running a route up docks to secure and flip spawns. They didn't even focus on P5 initially. They worked on flipping spawns. So again, Maddie not having the best map as far as eye test goes, but getting it done as far as map positioning and setting up his teammates for success. His teammates with the ability to get these kills the way they have been. Not only are they keeping Irvine off of P5 and now getting time, but they found themselves set up well for P1 going forward. So I just love how Maddie is playing tonight. It's not getting it done in the kills department per se, but it's doing the dirty work around the map that not a lot of players want to do.
He's the route man a lot of the time, and although he isn't rewarded with kills, it hasn't really been rewarded in the way of hill time. It's allowed his team to be put in a position where they can excel, specifically in Dahmers. It's 16 and 7, a minute and 13 in the hill. That's just a crazy kill there from Tom Stealth. Again, he has been feeling himself ever since that map number 3. On that left side corner, unfortunately, Dahmers will be there to shoot him in the back. Still racking up the hill time now is Dahmers, trying to recreate what he had earlier when he was on the 9-3. Bonafide there will fall. Reflect will fall as well to the hands of Maddie, and that's going to be all 4 down now from UC Irvine as New Mexico have found themselves back into the hill and can refocus their attention to the spawn side where UC Irvine are coming off.
Already sending 2 players towards this P2. New Mexico have had a very successful hold. Even if they lose the rest of this time, it would warrant Irvine's a lead, but I imagine if they get wiped here, they're just going to chalk it up and send everything to P2. It's been a great job from them to get the lead back in their favor and also know and have the awareness to send players over on rotation, knowing they've been winning these transitional gunfights as they kick things off here. Not only did they get the rest of the scrap time fairly cleanly, but they have the rotation to P2. if they get a solid hold on this one, they could blow this game wide open.
Hummer still on a tear. Rock A. Maddie also trying to streak themselves just a bit. Maybe match what the opposition is performing. By opposition, I mean their teammate. Inside the bottom of P2, Rock A is going to be able to find one in from behind. Still streaking our 2 players on New Mexico, trying to find some more utility to use a little bit later on in the game. Up and towards the top of P2, they don't actually see player number 6 in Re6. We'll try to hop on down back in towards the point, but it's going to be a very difficult fight when you have an automaton. Clyde's able to find a couple of shots on the first. Domers is there for 2, takes a teammate down in the process. Finally, Re6 will be there for a trade. But it's Maddie who plays the off angle, waits to get back on in, and has found himself on 6 kills straight, looking for one more in the glide mark.
And once again, it's New Mexico playing around the map to set themselves up for the next hill. Now, they are winning the gunfights to secure spawns for the time being, so Solar has a big job in staying alive and winning this next gunfight. Unfortunately, the squad spawns come in. UC Irvine, they will have the spawns for the time being, though not in position to capitalize on it. New Mexico have now crossed the 200-point mark, up 70 points, and really it was the last 2 hills for me that blew this game wide open. Irvine have not been able to get into a hill, and New Mexico has kept things locked down.
Feeling desperate now from UC Irvine. Once you get past that 200-point mark, it really starts to eat away at your mental inside of a game. Pinstripe kill feed, Tom Stealth trying to do his best as possible. While UC Irvine a chance back in this game, 16-16 from Re6, the only one that's been able really to keep up with Tom Stealth here inside of the game thus far. You knock him out for the last 10 seconds of time, sure. It's a foot race over towards that next point. Domers is going to be the first one pushed up the map. Nade over the top. Should be able to at least back one off for the time. You look to middle of P5. It's going to be 2 kills for Blue in the kill feed. P4 is your mainstay, but Cash, they were here the last time. Unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize upon it.
Maddie's got a big role to play in the back, just trying to pick these players off, keep Irvine as uncomfortable as possible. New Mexico already improving from the last go-around. It was a near full 60 for Irvine the last time they were here on P4. New Mexico keeping them off the point, even if they aren't able to get time for themselves. They're at least keeping it scrappy because their win condition is set. They don't need every second of this P4. They just need to be able to keep Irvine off of it and keep them from doing what they did in the first hard point, which is closing this deficit. Now they're going to dip their toe in, try to get some of this time. They can't win it here. But if you're Irvine, you've got to fight for every second scrap.
Solar hops down over towards the left. Can't win off of this hill. But they're well set up over towards that next point. Rock A is going to be there. Dahmer's there up in towards the top as well. You look down over the point. Could be the hill that gets the win.
Standoff on either side of this building. Dahmer's is trying to keep these players back. No one getting on the hill yet. Irvine looking to try to make a move towards it, but Pinstripe kill feed isn't going to grant anyone clearance on the hill just yet. Bonafide going to hop on and just try to get some of this time and make a stand similar to how they did the first go around on hard point. Starting to close the deficit, still 90 points, but for New Mexico, really it feels like whenever they want to pounce and close this one out, they can. Things starting to swing the way of Irvine on this P5 as they have complete hill clearance. New Mexico, though, as we look to P1, they do have control for spawns.
UC Irvine will stay alive yet again. Rotation over towards P1 does belong to New Mexico now, and they can still push for time here at Old on P5. You look to Rock A, who's on the rotation. They're forcing him all the way back. It feels like it's going to be impossible to get all the way across the map with just 10 seconds needed for New Mexico to go ahead and close this series out. The Lobos have done it. A beautiful performance here on Berlin will shut down the hopes and dreams of UC Irvine, and they will finally get their first win in Tier 1 in Stage 2. It might just have a better seed for the LCQ.
And that's
It's a love story.
Feel good too, right? Yeah, exactly. It feels good. You know they wanted to get that one on the board. They take care of business when things were close in that hard point. They do what they do best, and that's start to extend that lead and pull away. Once they find footing in a map and really start to punish you on rotations, especially a map like Berlin, well, as you can see in the score line, they felt very good about that one. Dahmer's, of course, with the standout performance there. Once again, at 33 and 17, 27 non-traded kills. Korn gives you the quick math. Not good at the end of the day. it's New Mexico who take that series 3-1.
Yeah, I mean it's never good when the main takeaway from your team is three people getting completely outslayed into the negative effects. But you look at Matty, who had a relatively decent game for himself. 2 minutes in the hill for Dahmers, 33 and 17 overall. The whole team really just came together, and that final map was able to close things out. And normally this would be kind of the area where we finish breaking down the game, and I'm like, okay, there's still Call of Duty action to be played on Alpha, but this is the first time where like both of these series are like finishing at the exact same time, and like I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's different. People, I guess, taking care of business tonight or something, but yeah. Quick night for us.
Hey, at the end of the day, it was a fun night, though, still. Of course, the first match was a 3-0. However, it was one of those 3-0s to where you were like, okay, that was relatively quick, and it kind of shocked me a little bit because I really, at least personally, thought it was going to be a lot closer of a series. And BGSU just, again, took care of business. Trine University, they did not look like the same team that they were earlier on in the season. Hopefully that doesn't continue into the LCQ. But if it does, that's a big yikes for me. However, these two teams, this was one of those games that a lot of people had their focus on, not because it was two teams that were maybe vying for an automatic qualification spot, but it was two teams who weren't out of place in Tier 1, but just could never get over the hurdle of being able to beat some of the better teams inside of their Tier 1. And again, they are in one of the hardest divisions inside of the CCL, not only this year, but in CCL history. But of course, both of these teams having standout performances amongst one another. At least if you are New Mexico, you can go in happy to the LCQ with a peg up on UC Irvine. But again, I think, again, these teams are both locks to get in the playoffs unless something crazy happens and something goes awry and they completely just fall apart within the next 2 weeks. So again, if you are looking for the LCQs or looking to when they will be, April 18th and 19th will be the start of the LCQ. So just make sure you keep that in the back of your mind, keep that in your calendar, and of course follow at College COD on Twitter to stay up to date with all things college Call of Duty. But more importantly, when the playoffs will start to get heating up, because I promise you are not going to want to miss the next several weeks of collegiate Call of Duty, because there is not going to be a single dull moment over the next few weeks as we start getting ready for playoffs.
It's going to be a blast. It'll be my first time going through playoffs. And, well, the way you guys have shaped it up and what I've seen in the past is, like you said, nothing short of thrilling, as with any postseason event goes. So I'm excited to get there. Of course, we still have a lot of COD left before we get to that point. But, yeah, we're getting close, Corn, and I'm excited for it.
New Mexico, a 3-1 advantage and a win in the series over UC Irvine. Again, that's going to do it here for tonight for Collegiate Call of Duty on the Bravo channel. However, once again, we will be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the Alpha and the Bravo channels to bring you more Collegiate Call of Duty action. That's going to do it for myself, Cash, and the rest of production. We hope you had a great night watching Call of Duty. We hope that you continue to enjoy and, of course, support these collegiate athletes as we get in towards the playoffs and, of course, the rest of the CCL season. Stay safe. Have a fantastic night. We'll see you tomorrow back here at 7:30 Eastern.